Good day, ma'am. I am Lady May Patac, and I am from BSHM 2A student. And for today's topic is about organization for purchasing, storekeeping, and transportation. Objectives: to be able to understand the organization for purchasing, storekeeping, and transportation. To know what are organization for purchasing, storekeeping, and transportation, and to be able to learn between the many types of organization. So purchasing is the process a business or organization uses to acquire goods or services to accomplish its goals. Although there are several organizations that attempt to set standards in the purchasing processes can vary greatly between organizations. So the storekeeper is a responsible person and should be placed in a high position in the management hierarchy since he has to control the stores from every point of view. He is expected to help the cost department for its effective functioning. Transportation is a means of moving people, animals, and goods from one place to another. Since the early existence of human civilization, people relied on horses and carts or carriage for this purpose. Countries around the world have been trading by sea using ships for hundreds of years. The place of purchasing. The function of purchasing is as old as selling, for the two acts are complementary and one cannot take place without the other. Importance of purchasing. In industrial management, there has been during the last decade a steady increasing pressure to reduce production costs. Importance of purchasing. 1. Purchasing function provides materials to the factory without which wheels of machines cannot move. 2. A 1% saving in materials cost is equivalent to a 10% increase in turnover. Efficient buying can achieve this. 3. Purchasing manager is the custodian of his firm's force as he spends more than 50% of his company's earnings on purchases. 4. Increasing proportion of one's requirements are now bought instead of being made as was the practice in the earlier days. Buying therefore assumes significance. 5. Purchasing can contribute to the import substitution and save foreign exchange. 6. Purchasing is the main factor in timely execution of industrial projects. 7. Materials management organizations that exist now have evolved out of purchasing departments. Buying merchandise and materials. Merchandise is bought primarily for resale, hence the main features that the buyer must look for are availability, style, in case of style merchandise, and price. Buying equipment. So equipment is purchased because of the time and labor it will save in turning out accurate and quantity work. Buying supplies. Supplies includes those items which do enter into the manufacture of the products but are used within the company and are not resold. They are, for example, the stationaries, greases, lubricating oils, soap, toilet paper, and similar items. organization of the purchasing department. There are legitimate variations denoting some particular relationships in the purchasing organization. Procedure in purchasing. So, purchasing is not as simple a task as it may appear to the average person whose only experience is in purchasing personal needs. Relationship of purchasing with other organizational units. Analysis of the scope and type of work of as well-rounded purchasing program indicates that the buying operation virtually touches practically every other department of the whole organization in many vital fields beyond the actual procurement of materials and supplies for their needs. Purchasing and production. Historically, purchasing is allied to the production function, which embraces a wide variety of activities that are subject to specialized and independent administration in more highly functionalized organizations of large industry. Purchasing and engineering. In many ways, cooperation between the purchasing and engineering department is comparable to that between the purchasing and production departments, except that engineering is chiefly concerned with materials matters of products and design and specifications preliminary to actual production requirements. Purchasing and account. Every purchase made represents an expenditure against the company budget and sets in motion a series of accounting operations such as changing the expense to the proper account, the verification and approval of the invoices, final auditing and payment. Purchasing and sales. The sales department should keep the purchasing department informed of the sales quotas and expectations as guide to probable quantity requirements of materials. Stores and control. Functions. The functions of storekeeping is concerned with providing a place or places for the safe and convenient storing of materials and supplies that are needed for immediate use, for disbursing such materials as required, and for seeing to it that the supplies do not run out before additional quantities are ordered and received. One man is usually assigned to take charge and is responsible for all aspects of storekeeping. Purposes. The purposes of storekeeping and control may be stated into two categories to wit, first, from the viewpoint of operations, second, from the financial viewpoint. Location of storerooms. The location of storerooms is an important consideration. Storekeeping. Any system of stock keeping or store control is predicated on the orderly storage of materials and their accounting while in storage. Store facilities. Store facilities must be adapted to the types of materials handled and with include racks, bins, shelving, trays, platforms, and floor space, all numbered or otherwise identified as to specific location. Supervision. Control of stores is further facilitated by unit storage or piling so as to give a quick visual control of materials on hand. Records. The basic record of the store department is the stock record or the perpetual inventory. Transportation. Importance of transportation. The importance of transportation as a facilitating function of business cannot be emphasized enough. Its effect on the entire company is pervasive. Modes of transportation. A business firm may depend on outside sources of transportation. In addition, it may operate its own internal transportation facilities. Importance of transportation. Transportation is a means of moving people, animals, and goods from one place to another. Since the early existence of human civilization, people relied on horses and carts or carriage for this purpose. Countries around the world have been trading by sea using ships for hundreds of years. Transportation for movement of goods. The most obvious and significant way that transportation helps businesses is by facilitating the movement of goods. As transport methods have developed throughout history, so have production and distribution. This is especially vital for perishable and agricultural goods like poultry and dairy. Transportation for work. Distribution and accessibility of resources result in more economic opportunities for individuals as well as businesses. Many industries rely on fast and efficient transportation to receive raw materials and deliver manufactured or processed goods, without which people couldn't buy and use them. Transportation for business. It's essential for any business to be able to procure materials, take them to a production location, and distribute their final goods. Transportation connects companies to supply and customers, creating an important framework that allows supply to meet personal and professional demands. Outside transportation may be by truck and bus, by rail, by water, and by air. The railroad is an expensive method of transporting raw materials and heavy equipment over relatively long distances. Water transportation is even more inexpensive because the Philippines is an archipelago of many islands. Trade and industry depends heavily on inter-island shipping. Air transportation is speedy and efficient but expensive. Internal transportation fleets are maintained by manufacturing or marketing organization. So that's it for today, and thank you and God bless.